I just find it a little bit hypocritical because to me it sounds like he wants to change American culture to something that it isn't, maybe to something that it was thousands of years ago.
Wait a minute, let's listen to that again.
He wants to change American culture to maybe to something that it was thousands of years ago.
Yeah, sorry Theryn, our country is only around 250 years old, not thousands of years old.
Or hundreds of years ago, but definitely something that it isn't anymore, and probably something that would be an existential threat to me as a trans person. So I just find that very rich and hypocritical. Sure, I don't even think if it has any more merit that you want to change culture into to American culture today into something that it was hundreds of years ago, because I think that what it was hundreds of years ago represents, you know, what is written in the Quran in many ways very closely. So not much difference.
Do I get a chance to respond to this,
All right,
Lauren?
Okay, a couple things here. First of all, what's with the ugly ass sweater? I mean, it's not around Christmas time at the time that this video was made yet, so it's not time to whip out all the ugly ass Christmas sweaters yet, guy. And secondly, what is with the smug ass grin that would make somebody want to strangle you to death? Is this guy a troll?
The change I'm talking about is going back to the natural order of things, the natural order ordained by God.
I don't like the looks of this guy's body language right here. It comes off as so creepy and fake, he might as well be a troll.
Which prevailed in this great land up until just about 50 years ago. So we're not talking about going back hundreds of years. We're talking about
That's exactly what Muslims talk about.
Damage.
That's exactly what radical Muslims talk about.
Yeah, well, hey, and maybe there's something to the conservatism of some of the Muslim countries.
What kind of a Christian fundamentalist actually compares the conservatism of Christianity with the conservatism of Islam? I'm getting the feeling more and more that this guy really is a troll. Okay, yep, he's gotta be a troll. Just check out that creepy ass laugh.
What would happen to someone like me?
You would probably have to see a doctor.
I think you need to see a doctor for how much shit you eat, judging by off of that shit-eating grin of yours. Okay, jokes aside though. About a month ago, Bering had made a response video to a whole bunch of people regarding the guilt by association fallacy, and I'm probably striking the iron when it's cold with this response video considering of how long it took me to finally get around to it, but still. One of the people that Bering uses as an example of somebody supposedly using the guilt by association fallacy against him was Loudmouth Reviews, and when he came on one of my live streams. For all the Bering fans out there, yes, that is me right there. And considering that Bering features one of my videos on his own, I felt kinda obligated to respond to Bering in how he completely edited Loudmouth out of context.
I've been seeing this kind of thing more and more lately, where people crack the shits if you associate with somebody they don't like in a manner they don't approve of. Or they'll try to play this guilt by association game and apply some of the blame for some grievance they have with whoever you've associated with to you.
I'll give to you the benefit of the doubt that maybe Theryn Meyer was implying that Roman Millennial is supposedly guilty of believing the same things as Richard Spencer does regarding white supremacy because she did not challenge him enough in her opinion.
Maybe Roman Millennial, maybe you should do a little bit more work speaking out against people like that. Maybe when you have people like Richard Spencer on your channel, don't just sit there and go, oh, that's nice, that's so interesting. Maybe you shouldn't just let him wrap his bullshit ideas in a beautiful pink bow, make it sound all cute. Maybe you actually have a responsibility to challenge him on his ideas and expose it for what it really is.
As far as Vadim Newquist, aka Creationist Cat, goes, he just merely asked you a question. He just merely asked you if you believe in a white ethno-state. I mean, yes, he used no bullshit as a setup for his question, but in my opinion still, asking a mere question as to what your beliefs are compared to another person is not a guilt by association and is not an accusation that you hold these beliefs because you did associate with that, as long as he asked it in a questioning context. If he was to out and out accuse you, like saying, oh, Bering believes in a white ethno-state because he did not challenge no bullshit on those beliefs, well then yeah, that would definitely be a guilt by association fallacy that he is pulling and accusing you of having beliefs that you probably do not have. But even that, I'm just going to ignore the whole Vadim Newquist thing that you mentioned in your video.
I'm Creationist Cat.
Getting down to what really pissed me off though is when he responded to my buddy Loudmouth Reviews of how he completely twisted his arguments as to why he doesn't like Bearing and completely edits out of context what he was saying in my live stream. So that's why I'm here today.
Bearing deserves more, way more than he's gotten. I had a whole drama with him a couple months ago when he collabed with a doxer, Devin Tracy. Promoting that guy in any way, shape, or form is promoting his crimes. He's a psychopath. You look up all the, you look in any kind of psychiatric textbook about all the character traits of that psychopaths have, and watch his videos. It aligns so perfectly, more than anyone I've ever seen. He's a textbook psychopath, and I was kind of just bitter cut of the whole situation because you know how many hate comments I got from his fans. How many people I had to block is fucked up.
Those were all the clips that he played of Loudmouth Reviews commenting on him. Now let's rewatch one of those clips.
He's a psychopath. You look up all the, you look in any kind of psychiatric textbook about all the character traits of that psychopaths have, and watch his videos. It aligns so perfectly, more than anyone I've ever seen. He's a textbook psychopath.
Now this is probably the absolute biggest mistake that he had made in this video, as he edited Loudmouth Reviews out of context without actually saying anything. Just looking at the way that he edits that clip, he makes it seem as if though Loudmouth Reviews was accusing him of being a psychopath, when really, if you look at the clip in its full context, he wasn't saying that at all. He was actually accusing AIU of being the psychopath.
Well, the thing is, I know Devin too, but I'm not a doxer, you know, and neither is Bearing. It's one of the
Devin
things
Tracy
that,
is.
yeah, and we all give him shit for it. Like that's one of the longest running jokes.
Not enough, dude. The guy, all right, promoting that guy in any way, shape, or form is promoting his crimes.
But the one, like look at it like this too. I'm also friends with Kraut and T, and he completely doxed Kraut and T, or one of his flying monkeys doxed Kraut and T. And
yeah.
you know, when it came down to it, though, that like that beef is squashed. Really, you know, he's stopped doing it, and now it's just kind of turned into a joke. You know, like Devin's mellowed out a lot, and you know, I give him credit for that.
He's not apologized for his actions.
Well, and that's his personality. It's also his choice too. I mean, you know,
because he's a psychopath. Psychopaths never apologize.
Well, not necessarily that, but I mean, just
he's definitely a psychopath.
Devin is kind of an asshole.
He's not kind of an asshole. He's a psychopath. You look up all the, you look in any kind of psychiatric textbook about all the character traits of that psychopaths have, and watch his videos. It aligns so perfectly, more than anyone I've ever seen. He's a textbook psychopath.
What is extra enraging about this whole circumstance is the fact that little less than a month beforehand, Bearing had responded to a video by Thomas Smith of where he was interviewing Kristi Winters, where Kristi was basically saying that Bearing, and other anti-feminists for that matter, constantly take and edit out of context the feminists that they respond to.
He will cut up the video and mock them, take them out of context.
Now, I've played this entire section of your podcast uninterrupted to ensure nothing is taken out of context.
Why didn't you show that same courtesy to Loudmouth Reviews then? You didn't have to play a full 4 minutes of that footage, but still, you could have included the part of when I said that Devin is kind of an asshole, and then Loudmouth says he's not kind of an asshole, he's a psychopath, referencing AIU and not you, Bearing. I mean, I know that my audio was shit at that moment, but still, to avoid this kind of confusion, you could have just played a few more seconds of my footage.
He's a psychopath. You look up all the, you look in any kind of psychiatric textbook about all the character traits of that psychopaths have, and watch his videos. It aligns so perfectly, more than anyone I've ever seen. He's a textbook psychopath.
Devin is kind of an asshole.
He's not kind of an asshole. He's a psychopath. You look up all the, you look in any kind of psychiatric textbook about all the character traits of that psychopaths have, and watch his videos, it aligns so perfectly, more than anyone I've ever seen. He's a textbook psychopath.
Now, this seems to have become the social justice warrior's go-to accusation, but if I've got a history of targeting and harassing young feminists, then surely there's plenty of evidence out there, which makes it really odd that no one can ever produce any.
I don't have any examples of you harassing bedroom feminists, Bering, but I do have an example of you smearing somebody who is a former fan of yours.
He's a psychopath.
Devin is kind of an asshole.
He's not kind of an asshole. He's a psychopath.
He will cut up the video and mock them, take them out of context.
Now, in that interview with Thomas Smith, when Kristi Winters says you cut people up and take them out of context, but doesn't provide any examples of that, I was totally able to just brush that off. But when she does say that you take people out of context, and then I see a clear example of you not only taking, but editing somebody out of context from one of my own live streams, it manages to make her look good. You hear me, Bering? Not only have you managed to slightly degenerate your own credibility, you also made Fisty fucking Splinters look credible by editing Loudmouth out of context. Congratulations. It's not even just the fact that he edited Loudmouth out of context. He also completely misunderstood his argument as to why he disapproves and dislikes Bering these days.
People crack the shits if you associate with somebody they don't like in a manner they don't approve of.
Yeah. Loudmouth doesn't like the fact that you would associate yourself in a friendly manner with a criminal, a doxer, AIU atheist Rue. If you were to invite him on a live stream to confront him on his actions of doxing in the same manner that the Warskis debated that Omnipolitics 16 guy on his advocacy of pedophilia, it would be a different story. But no, you decided to have on AIU for a hangout stream with Copper Cab and a bunch of other people. Not to mention the time that you done a waste of internet space collab video with him on that weirdo who believes in immortality and eternally keeping your virginity. If you're so willing to have friendly associations with an unapologetic doxer, are you also willing to have the same type of associations with a murderer, a rapist, a thief, or how about a pedophile?
Or they'll try to play this guilt by association game and apply some of the blame for some grievance they have with whoever you've associated with to you.
He hasn't in the least bit blamed you for the same grievances that everybody holds atheist Rue against regarding doxing. He just thinks that you are a complete and utter hypocrite about this whole circumstance, about how you freak out of how Kristi Winters spread your dox, but then at the same time you go associating with somebody who is a self-admitted doxer. That being AIU.
Bering's not a doxer, and he wouldn't be because he's been doxed. That's
what really pissed me off about the whole situation, the hypocrisy of that. He was saying he was going on about Kristi Winters. So that's the thing that's why I've almost since then like I don't dislike Kristi Winters like I used to, because I'm like I see these Bering fans like continue to rag on Kristi Winters for spreading his dox, which was a cunt move, a bitch move of her. Okay, but the evidence against Devin Tracy for doxing is massively higher than it is against Kristi Winters. And yet Bering's fans give a shit about Devin's doxes, but they harp and bitch about Kristi Winters.
I think of everyone in the skeptic community, the two people that Loudmouth dislikes the most is Bering and AIU. Am I wrong in saying that, Loudmouth?
AIU, yes, but there's people I dislike quite a bit more than Bering. I mean, what can I say? The guy's a massive hypocrite on AIU. Other than that, I like the guy. I've always liked the guy's content. I was always a fan of the guy. Just that one issue, he was a massive hypocrite, and he won't stop being a hypocrite. He's done nothing but double down on his bullshit in that area. Let's see, a lot of guys who I think are massively worse than Bering. Well, I don't know if they qualify. Let's see, guys like Onision or what have you.
I enjoy interacting with all types of people.
Is that your excuse? You enjoy interacting with doxers now, Bering? The funny thing about the ending of his video is that he does not directly address the whole issue that Loudmouth brings up, that being the whole AIU doxing drama, and of how he associates himself with AIU. I mean, I wonder why it is that he did not say something along the lines of, just because I hang out with doxers doesn't mean that I myself am a doxer.
I agree with some of them on some things, I agree with others on other things, I agree with some on no things. So if you ever see me talking to a feminist, it doesn't automatically make me a feminist. If you ever see me talking to someone on the alt-right, it doesn't automatically make me part of the alt-right. If you ever see me talking to a flat earther, it doesn't automatically make me a flat earther.
The issue that Loudmouth has against you, Bering, has nothing to do with your beliefs. With Vadim, I'll grant you that he was borderline playing the old guilt by association fallacy with you and almost thinking you had the same beliefs as no bullshit just because you had a live stream with him. But with Loudmouth, the issue he has with you is the fact that you have next to no problem with AIU and invite him on your hangout streams and feature him on your channel in a friendly manner. Even if you were on friendly terms with Kristi, a possible doxer, Loudmouth would likely still have problems with you associating with criminals like doxers. I guess you could technically term this guilt by association in that Loudmouth thinks that you're guilty of being a spineless hypocrite for having anything to do with AIU. But the difference is that Loudmouth doesn't think that you yourself are guilty of being a doxer or a fan of Hillary Clinton for being with AIU, but that you would want anything to do with this piece of shit. When it comes to people thinking that you are guilty of having the same beliefs as someone just for associating with them, that's when guilt by association is fallacious. But when you are with someone who is an unapologetic criminal, it's a guilt by association, but it's not fallacious. It's not any more fallacious than for someone to be guilty of pandering by associating with other types of criminals like murderers, rapists, or thieves. Now, I had been a fan of Bering for the longest time. I had paid attention to his videos ever since he had around 20,000 subscribers. I had been subscribed to him ever since he was around 200,000 subscribers. I agreed with most of what he said. I liked his editing style, I liked his animations, and I liked his comedy that he provided. But what I don't like in my political icons is intellectual dishonesty. And Bering had showed of how intellectually dishonest he can be with that whole gay marriage ruling of Australia and the way that he handled that situation. But above all, he showed of how intellectually dishonest and hypocritical he can be with of how he treats AIU and is all friendly with him. And Loudmouth has exposed that. And that is why that I had to unsubscribe from Bering. To all my subscribers, sorry that I have been really slowing down on the uploads. It's just that this last week has been a real kick in the ass with overtime at work, plus of the fact that I had a whole bunch of Christmas shopping that I had to get done. But I finally got this video done for you guys just before Christmas. I wish you guys all a very Merry Christmas, and I'll have more videos coming out on Tuesday. I'll see you then. Take care. God bless.